Hello and welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm very excited to share with you all the work that I did in my 100-day project. I'm really proud of this. It's really surprising to me looking back at where I started and then kind of seeing the journey that I went through and how my work developed and changed and things I tried, what shifted, and ultimately where I ended up as well. So I want to show you 3 sketchbooks that I worked through and this entire folder here of loose pieces, which I had no clue I'd made quite so many. So I want to start first of all with this big sketchbook. And on the inside here, I'm really glad I did this. I wrote the date. So the 18th of February. I'm not sure if I've done it on these yet. This was my April sketchbook, and I don't know if I've done it on this one. No, but this is my colour one. So let's dive into this. And when I first started the 100-day project, I was going to keep it really simple and just do black and white drawings. So these were like the first few days. I bought some roses, I kept buying flowers, and there you can see like 1 of 100, 2 of 100. And then I was just working through the flowers that I bought, that I had in front of me, and drawing them in a very similar style, as you can see. And I thought it'd be really nice at the end of it to have an entire collection of work that all looks like this. You know, they could be nice greetings cards designs, stickers, yeah. Anyway, as you can see, basically after a week, I'd kind of got bored of that idea. And it's not that I couldn't have gone on and done 100 days of this, it's that it was starting to feel really stagnant and I wasn't enjoying it as much. You can see here, this floral, I rushed it, I just did it because I needed to do it. And that wasn't the reason why I started doing this project. I wanted to get better at my art skills, at my drawing skills. I wanted to feel more confident as an artist as well. And I think this is my favourite one, the first piece that I did. And I think this encapsulates all those things. But you can see that my work's not developing by working in the same style over and over. It's only by pushing myself and trying new things that I'm going to develop. So this was the beginning of my sketchbook, which again, I did a page in here for day 1 and this for day 1. So started out with really good intentions, really love this as well. And I really still love drawing like this, just with a fine line pen, really simple observation drawings. And yeah, as you can see here, day 4, I was really losing interest. There's not quite so much detail, the perspective's off. You could say it's a bad drawing day because not every day are you going to be making your best work. And actually it was here that I started to loosen up and just use really loose lines. I was holding the pen really loosely in a completely different way and not trying to do these really tight, contrived drawings. And this felt so much more alive than this that I tried to do in a really controlled, precise way. So this was the beginnings of me loosening up. So here was one of my first revelations I came across, and this was in the first week or just afterwards. And this was my shadow drawings. So as I said, I was buying lots of bouquets of flowers just from the supermarket as well. So these are, I think, either tulips or roses. They might be tulips. And as I had my sketchbook on the floor and I had the vase of flowers next to me, it was casting a shadow from the lights in our kitchen. And I thought this shape was so much more interesting than the shapes I was trying to capture like this. So this is where I then started my shadow drawings, and I've had so much fun over the last few months with my shadow drawings, and I still feel like this is something I've only just scratched the surface with. I love the idea of adding in colour as well, so I've got still my midnight skies, these gorgeous, really abstract floral shapes, and then pops of colour. So here I've not actually done the midnight sky, but that's the intention here. And it almost gives you that sort of negative effect, negative space effect. Here's a page I really hate. And again, I was trying something different. I was laying colour down first, drawing on top, and then trying to draw my midnight skies around it. And I don't know if it was the colours I used, just I wasn't feeling it that day. This was then in my Tree Bar Gardens walk. So I went out for the day. I think the video is called Overcoming Artist Block. And in that, I went out for the day into the gardens. I took this sketchbook. I was just capturing shapes. And again, this was really fun to be actually out in the landscape, seeing what's going on around me. And this was a big revelation for me, was this little robin that followed me around everywhere. And this in particular was such a quick sketch, really, really quick sketch, just with a coloured pencil, but it feels so alive. There's so much life in that drawing compared to if we go back to these, which are just horrible. So this has really inspired me to want to draw birds. So I did stick with my flower drawings for the 100 days, but this is definitely something now that I've finished it I want to work on. Again, negative space created by the shadows. Playing around with shadow drawings, playing around with different pens and ways of capturing it. And again, when you're on the go, it's not the easiest thing to just get out loads of paints and things whilst you're there on the side of the path and there's people walking past you. So a lot of what I did was just really quick with easy supplies, so a pencil or a pen, and yeah, capturing these really interesting shapes. This was also a big revelation moment for me, and again, I've never drawn like this before. I've never tried to actually capture something, and I really, really loved how this turned out. This is all in that video as well, my process. I sat there, I think it was about 40 minutes it took me to draw this. So I sat on the beach and I captured the entire thing. I've layered up gouache in here and coloured pencil. And yeah, it was really interesting to just push my boundaries. I know this is nothing to do with florals, but this was part of the process of what I was doing. And again, just all of this kind of yummy texture that's going on here within the foliage. There was so much I was learning about building up supplies, building up colours, building up layers, capturing shapes, and again, creating texture within the foliage. As you can see here, my experiments are here. So yeah, that's quite interesting to see. And then I moved on and I thought, right, gouache is something I've never really worked with. Let's try that. And I do love these here at the bottom. So this again is a technique I would love to work more. So just putting almost like a wash type layer underneath and then layering up kind of more the thicker gouache that kind of gives you the more details. Anyway, it was interesting working in these little shapes as well, just on a much smaller scale than I'm used to. And then I did this vase of flowers and hated it. So I went back to what I like doing. So again, this is still gouache, but I added in my midnight skies. And this feels more like me. So yeah, really interesting with how I kind of have this push-pull with my work of pushing to try something new, and then I pull back to make it part of my process. Now this is based off of a Sandy Hester colour drawing, no, a Sandy Hester colour video that she did on her YouTube channel, and again I mentioned this in a previous vlog, I think it was. So yeah, starting to play with colour because I'm realising I'm not very confident with my colours, and this was the beginnings of me trying to unwrap that. And I did go on to create a whole colour series, which we will get to, and that's all here on my YouTube channel. So here we are, another page that I hated. So here's more colours, and as you can see, so it's that push-pull again of pushing, trying something new, pulling it back and putting it into the work that I already do. So this was me trying colours in my mandala orbs, and obviously it's not finished at all, but I was just playing around with kind of compositions and how I could use it, especially pushing it out into my florals, because again, this project was based around florals. Again, experiments with trying colour and These are obviously my shadow drawing shapes, so slightly more abstract. And all of this was really just helping me to grow in confidence. So after all of that, I pulled back again and went back to my shadow drawing, which I absolutely loved. And even just this basic black and white drawing is just so beautiful, the composition. And in fact, this would be really nice to then use to try and do a big painting, maybe on a canvas. So yeah, you never know where your drawings will take you, and they can always be used as reference in the long run. More experiments again with paint and colour, and these were inspired by the Tree Bug Gardens. And yeah, here we are, birds. I did actually do a few birds. Very exciting. I definitely want to do more of this now that my 100-day project's finished. Another page that I hate. So again, really pushing myself. You can see I'm still really naive with how I'm using colour here. Just kind of splurging it down. I've done my really abstract kind of layout here using the shadows. And this is something I went on to do. I don't know if you can even see that here. With pencil, I've just marked out a few kind of squares with compositions in them. This is one of my favourite pages, and again it comes back to this idea of the abstract, the colour work and the shadow drawings, and just what an interesting composition this is. And for me, I find this so much more interesting than this, and I know that these might look better as an art piece. They might look like I've got more skills as an artist when I try and draw something in detail. But this is what's more exciting to me, is that I'm doing something unusual and I'm not sure where it's going. And it's in that pushing and that development that's where like the true magic happens when you're working like with art. So here's something which is just, I can't believe it. It's almost like all the work I'd done up until now was a bit here and a bit all over the, all over the place. Bits of this, bits of that. And then suddenly, all of the drawings that I was doing, all the work I was doing in the background, I could put it into a big mandala orb and suddenly make something really intricate like this. And this kind of felt to me almost like it came out of nowhere. But it just goes to show all this background work that I was doing was really, really helping, and it's laying that foundation within me as well and helping me to develop my visual language. I then did this page here, 26th of March, and this was one of the most important pages that I did because it then led me on to starting this sketchbook, which we will get into in a second. But this is basically my drawing reference book, and that's where the idea from this came from. And as you can see, it's all the things I drew here, which then I went back and drew into my mandala orb. So yeah, all the work you're doing, even if you can't see what the next step is or see where it's taking you, it will be feeding back into your normal work. So here I'm trying to push my boundaries again. I've put down lots of colour, daring colours that I wouldn't usually use. Reds is definitely not a colour I'd usually use. And then drawing over the top, which again is not how I usually work. Again here, playing around with laying down colour first and drawing on top as opposed to drawing around it. And there's some really interesting things that happen here. And even this shape that this creates here, once I put the pink down as well, was just so interesting. Again, it's a really kind of abstract form that it creates. So yeah, interesting things happening. Again, more observation drawing, more kind of mandala orb drawing things. Didn't finish this, but again, trying to play around with colour and yeah, not really grasping it. This was really fun. So again, this was the beginnings of my colour work as well. And just splurging across the page and not needing the page to be anything other than colour. And that was a real kind of sense of freedom. So here, this is also one of the most important pages that I did. I think it's the last page. Yeah, apart from this one. The last page I did in the sketchbook. And again, this was just splurging down loads of colour first, not worrying about the final outcome. and then drawing in on top. And I'm so pleased with how this turned out. I don't know what you could use it for. I mean, it would be nice like a fabric design or something like that. But just that process of getting the colour down without overthinking it. You know, I mean, it kind of looks like a real mess there. It looks like a child could have done it. And that's kind of where that joy and that freedom comes from. And so I'm trying to capture that essence really within the work. So all of that then led me on to these other two sketchbooks, which I pretty much used in tandem. So I have my colour sketchbook and my drawing reference sketchbook. So we've seen a bit of this one already. I'm just going to pull you down a second. So in here I was drawing from observation, and then I will use this to then do my drawings and my artwork. So this then becomes my reference images. So I'm basically working from my own drawings, and that's been really, really helpful. So wherever I am, if I'm in the gallery, if I'm in a coffee shop, if I'm somewhere that, you know, it's a rainy day and I can't be outside, it's so helpful to have these, and even like this, these really intricate little drawings. And then I can draw from this, and this becomes my reference. And I've made some really beautiful work, I think. I think this has really helped me to, again, develop my visual language, my visual drawing language. And yeah, there's just some really nice shapes that if I was left to think on my own, like this, if I was left on my own to draw a mandala or without any references, I would never think to draw these. But having this to pull from has just elevated my work. So even this at the primroses, and they had little drops of dew on them, and it made me add in these circles, and it elevates it so much. I think they're so fun. So this has been like a work in progress. I will say it's nowhere near finished, but it's something that I started, and I've kept this sketchbook true to the, you know, how I started it. So these were the last things I did in here. And these are the seed heads, which I then used this as a practice to then draw on my final piece, which has just gone into the exhibition in Porthleven. So these dandelion seed heads then, really nice to work with, just really beautiful shapes, really interesting things going on there. And again, we've got the cow parsley as well. Lots of detail, but it's really nice to kind of capture it in your own way. And now I've got these reference images that if I want to draw them again, I don't need a photograph of the dandelion. I can draw from my drawings. So yeah, I've still got loads of pages in here, and I intend to keep going with this. And again, if I want to draw from life or from an image, I will draw it into here first, and then this is almost like my place of practice. I'm capturing the essence of the object or the piece, the flower. But yeah, really, really loved drawing these shapes. So if we go into my colour book as well, so this was again where I was trying to really push my understanding of colour, push my confidence with colour, and really learning about the materials that I already own, because I'm someone, I don't know if you're like this, but I will just keep buying new materials, new supplies, and it's really exciting, and then I never seem to actually sit down and push through with, you know, and really experiment and play around with the all the supplies I already own. So that could be a project in itself as well. So trying colour palettes, trying out, you know, mandala orbs, again trying to push myself with using colour, maybe using different colours, splurging with colour on the page. This was a fun one, just splurging it down. And then this is where I decided to start making actual colour palettes with specific supplies. So it means that I've noted down exactly what I used in this colour palette. So if I needed a limited colour palette, I could just pull out these few things, stick them in a pencil case, and I know that whatever artwork I make, it will be in this colour palette. So that was really fun actually. I really, really enjoyed working like this. And I've done a few of these. This was one of my favourite ones because I just loved this. I really loved all the colours that came through here, quite subtle. There's a little bit of pink in there. But yeah, really loved how this worked out. And again, I think it was nice to actually kind of limit myself instead of just letting myself use anything and everything. It was nice to kind of pull the reins back. So again, made a little note at the top of the things I was using. And then, yeah, went back into working with mandala orbs, trying different things with colour as well. But yeah, my comfort zone, and sometimes when I get lost, I go back to my comfort zone, which is mandala orbs. And this has been a really nice way of, again, doing that kind of push-pull, trying something new. Here you can see that I've pulled colour into the kind of background, which is where I usually do my midnight skies. So it kind of transforms it and turns it into, I don't know, the feel of it is just different when you've got colour in the background as well. So yeah, but pulling it back into the way I usually work, which is my mandala orbs, that's my safe zone. And so sometimes it's nice to kind of go back to your safety zone, to your comfort zone, and try new things within that. So I definitely learned a lot about myself, and I did learn that if I get stuck, this is what I need to go back to, and it really like loosens me up, it frees me up, and then I can start pushing more ideas again. So again, I did my abstracts. These were more shadow drawings, and I think after doing lots of mandala orbs, I realised I missed my shadow drawings. So that was really interesting to find that they really mean something to me, and I'm really excited to explore more of what that means for me and my work. Again, just what a fun page is that. I mean, it doesn't even need to be a thing, but just playing with art supplies. I feel like you could have a sketchbook just for playing with art supplies and just seeing kind of how, you know, doing things like this, just testing them out, layering them up together. It's just so fun, and again, you learn a lot about how different art supplies kind of work together, and this is how you can help kind of develop your own style. So that's the colour book, and then I want to show you all of the final pieces. So obviously we've seen those. I'm going to get rid of my folder. And yeah, lots of these were basically experiments. I wouldn't even call them final pieces. They just happen to be on loose sheets of paper. But yeah, we've got all these shadow drawings, and again, working with colour in here. So some of these were like watercolours. Sometimes it was neo colours. Then I used pencil over the top. Sometimes I feel like my colours are very garish and bold and childlike again, and unrefined, and so I think that was where I kind of lost my confidence with it. But yeah, I still find it really interesting then, this really detailed black and white versus the bright colour, and I'm still not really sure what that means for the direction that my work's going in, but yeah, I like to play with these two in conjunction. So even these, just seeing this like that, I think it's really beautiful. And again, there's so many things, it draws your eye in. And I think that's what I like, is I like a piece of work that you don't just kind of look at and see it, but it draws you in, and then once you're drawn in, you see a lot more. So you can tell here that then I felt inspired to go back to what I was doing before. So here I've got Lily of the Valley. So I started to just do my plain black and white drawings again, which was nice. And then I've got my mandala orbs where I was drawing on top of the mandala as well. So that was fun, kind of giving it a focal point. And I'd forgotten I did these actually. These are almost like little colour experiments. Again, this would be a nice thing to move forward and do again. These are just, I love that. I just love this shape. Really abstract shape of a flower. It's so interesting to me. So yeah, I've got a few of these. I really love the pink as well. I think this was something I discovered, was that I've always been drawn to blues and greens, but all these gorgeous warm colours, and especially like these pinky colours, like this colour palette. Pinks and oranges, and then a touch of blue in there. I love that. That's really, really nice. So yeah, it's surprising, I think, when you push yourself, that you sort of I don't know, things that I'd always veered away from, like the warm colours, the oranges, even things like browns, I was then really drawn to start playing around with. So yeah, a few more of these little ones, which were really fun. And again, then trying different shapes in the background, playing around with these. Again, it's all kind of compositions. This is interesting. I really like this piece. And again, it's just this real kind of fluid motion that's going on in the background, just from the colours I splurged on the paper. And then just doing a really nice detailed drawing over the top. I think these would make nice cards or something, like a greetings card. And again, drawing over the top of my mandala orbs. Intricate drawings. This one, I really love the leaf on this. So even that, of like drawing out all the veins in the leaves, I really, really love that one. That one's not finished, but that's really nice. And this one as well. I need to finish the backgrounds. These were both experiments. And I actually really like this one now. I think at the time when I filmed it, I didn't. But I do really like the purple and green and that bit of mint. So yeah, sometimes it's really interesting to go back and look at old work, because it will spark a bit of imagination or some joy that you didn't really feel the first time around. Or maybe the first time around it felt uncomfortable. So look at this, all the reds and oranges that I've used in this. I would never have used these previously. This piece, this little flower here, this is a primrose, which obviously should be yellow, really. That was the original primroses that I found in the woods. But yeah, just this shows me how much more confident I have become in my colour work, just from the things I splurged together here. And it might still look a bit messy, and it's, you know, probably not very refined, but this was a really big development for me. Someone that usually kind of works in these colours. So the last thing I want to show you then is, I'm going to leave you with this, is some images of the final piece that I've done for this local exhibition, which is up right now in Porthleven. And it's a competition, but I didn't expect to win or anything. I just love having my work up on the wall. I think there's something so magical about being part of that collective of artists that has your work on show. And for me personally, it helps me feel like a proper artist. I think sometimes I question, like, am I an artist or not? And yeah, I know that it's all stories we tell ourselves, and there's no right or wrong answer to that. But yeah, what makes you feel more like an artist? I'd love to know. But yeah, for me, this really kind of concretes in my mind. And again, it's a confidence thing, but it just reminds me, look, you're doing this. You're actually doing it. You're following your dream. You're becoming an artist. And here's your work up in a show full of beautiful works from other artists. So I hope you've enjoyed this little glimpse into my 100-day project. I'm really, really looking forward to starting a new project for July. I will be posting a video about that soon, so I will see you then. Lots of love, take care, bye.